All right, folks, thank you for your patience. We will now reconvene the 79th meeting of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, and we will go straight to our third and final application presentation. That would be Raynham Park LLC and other names.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Tony Rickey. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Greenwood Racing, and it's truly a privilege for our outstanding team to appear before you today. We're very familiar with the other applicants in this contest. Both the Cordish Company and Penn National are partners of ours in separate joint ventures, and I think it's a credit to the perception of the opportunity here and the process that it's attracted such a strong field. However, we know there can only be one winner in this contest, so we're here today to demonstrate to you why our proposal is clearly the best for the Commonwealth. John? We have the best location and the best market demographics. We'll be first to market with our Phase 1 temporary program. We'll be open within 6 months, and that will maximize the revenue of the state. We have the best team. We combine the talents of the Parks team, which is the most successful casino operator in Pennsylvania, with the extensive local experience of the Kearney team. This is the added dimension that none of the other applicants possess, and it will enable us to not only maximize this opportunity, but to enjoy close relationships and maximize the relationships with the local community. I think that point is supported by the next point, which is we received the highest level of local support of all the competitors with an 86% approval rating in our referendum. And that speaks to the strong relationship that the Kearney team has had with the community, and it also speaks to the support for our project. The elegant design of our casino will provide a significant architectural, social, and economic boost to the region, and it will incorporate significant environmental sustainability features. We also offer a safety net for the harness racing industry given this very uncertain climate. Our 100-acre site offers additional development opportunities beyond the initial phases, particularly with the designated station stop on the South Coast Rail Line. And finally, certainty of execution. The Parks team has executed this exact plan before in Pennsylvania when we opened in our racetrack grandstand with 2,000 slots and subsequently moved to a permanent standalone casino in 2009. It's for these very reasons that when we first assessed the landscape of the Massachusetts market after the passage of the legislation, the first place we visited was Raynham Park. After we toured the site, met George, we knew we didn't need to look any further. This was the best location for a casino in the state. Over the last 2 years, that view has only been strengthened. So with that, I would now like to introduce our next presenter, a man who's waited a long time for this, and I don't want to make him wait any longer, a man I'm very proud to call my partner and my friend, Mr. George Kearney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Honestly, it seems like it's been 4 lifetimes before I could get here today, but I got to tell you, it's a great feeling, no matter what the outcome is, that just to be one of the finalists in this operation, the selection process, makes me feel very, very good. My family's been in the racing business for better than 50 years. Well, I've been in it for better than 50 years. My family's been in it altogether over 70 years. I started off in the racing business as a very young man, not to waste a lot of time on that, but I hung in with it through good times and bad times. As far as the thing is concerned, I have had experience in the flat business. I worked at Raynham Park. I worked at Eastern Racing, which was known as Suffolk Downs now, and also with the fairs. And with the fairs, when you're in the fair business, you learn what racing is all about. As a matter of fact, I feel this way here, that I took over the Raynham dog track at a very young age, and I took it from being probably the 10th or 12th biggest track in the country to making it the #1 track in the country, as far as the thing is concerned. So I really feel that by staying in as a partner, I had a chance, if I chose to sell my half, but I decided I was gonna keep 50% and be 50% with Tony's company, because I felt this way here. I had a lot of employees that have been obligated to me for many years. Most of my people work for me for 35 and 40 years. I felt this way. The town of Raynham had great faith in the Carney family. They know what to expect from us, and that's why I probably had such a tremendous vote there. Getting 86% for anything to do with gaming is a tough op. You gotta really work hard at it, but the people in the town felt that comfortable with us. That's one of the reasons that we could be sitting here tonight, this afternoon, because we were accepted with an outlook with a great number. As far as the people concerned at the track, they know as long as I'm involved that their job is gonna be safe. They dedicated their life to me, and what time I got left, I'm gonna spend with them. And I chose this group here, I had several chances to make other arrangements that I just kept pushing off because I didn't, for one reason or another, didn't feel comfortable. I selected what I thought was the best partner would be for the state of Massachusetts. I'm looking forward to having plenty of jobs and raising plenty of money for the Commonwealth. I've had a great track record with the Commonwealth for 50 years, never had involved in any scandals or anything whatsoever. Ran a first-class company, and I really feel that this product we're bringing here today to present to you people is outstanding. If I just felt this way here, that I want to do one thing. I want to leave something that people, that I could be proud of, my family wouldn't be ashamed of, would be something that the town of Raynham would be thankful for. It's just a great opportunity to raise a lot of money for the town and keep a lot of people working. I didn't come here today to tell a lot of good things about myself. I just came here to plead for the people that work for me, and I want to shift gears a little bit about the harness. Fortunately enough, I own the Brockton Fair, which started with harness racing in 1874, conducted it there until 1952. It became very unpopular. It lost kind of its interest. And then at that time, prior to my taking over the fair, they shifted to flat racing, which is known as the runners. And we ran there for many years. We had bad tax bills that we couldn't live with, so we shut it down. But then this opportunity came back that I felt that for us, I do have some concern for the harness people. I know it's an issue that has to be addressed, and I felt this way here, that if we could come back, and I worked it out with my partners, that we would put an application for harness racing in at Brockton Fair. And that we're committed to spend $2.5 to $3 million to renovate the place, to make it a first-class operation. We put in 40 days because we felt that we put in more. We couldn't really, with bad weather, we figured it would be probably the middle of January at the earliest a decision would be made. And rather than putting an application for a lot of dates that we couldn't fulfill, I didn't want to have that hanging over my head. Because with the wintertime construction, what have you, with the work we want to do to make it a first-class operation, it just couldn't be done. So we put in for the 40 days, and I tell you this, with my experience in racing, the number of days is not what I'm looking for. To put a first-class product on the track that people want to come back to and spend some time there, it's not going to be by having the number of days. It's by running the kind of racing that people want to come and see. As far as the thing is concerned, I think the money coming from the Gaming Commission for the purses is going to attract a top flight caliber horse, and bring in great trainers. It'll be something that you commission members will never be ashamed if we're given the opportunity to produce what I think we can really produce. If there's any questions I could ask, if you could ask or want answers from me, I'd be happy to do the best I could to answer them. But I've been waiting a long time for today. I'm very proud of my partner here today. It's been a long time coming, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, if you're reviewing your, through the binders, is the introduction to Greenwood Racing, which I, as Chief Executive Officer, will walk you through. We are the owner and operator of Parks Casino, which is the #1 casino in Pennsylvania. We also operate Parks Racetrack, which is the #1 racetrack in the state also. We race thoroughbreds year-round at Parks. We also own and operate the Atlantic City Racetrack in New Jersey, 6 off-track wagering locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. We conduct account wagering operations in Oregon and Pennsylvania, and we are a 50% joint venture partner with Penn National Gaming in Freehold Raceway in New Jersey, which is a harness racetrack. We boast a top-notch management team with extensive experience in the gaming industry, and just like George's group, they have a long tenure with our company. We build a beautiful property. We ensure that it's well-maintained, clean, and safe, and we provide first-class service to ensure customer satisfaction and loyalty. Our third-party customer surveys consistently rank us as the top customer service provider in the area, and this is a very highly competitive market. We have 17 casinos within a 75-mile radius. This can only be achieved with talented, motivated, and a well-trained team. Our employees receive extensive training in both mandated areas and in customer service to ensure a consistent experience for our customers. Our firm has a strong commitment to diversity, community outreach, and social responsibility. We take great pride in the recognition that we've received in these areas, and we understand that a strong community also provides an attractive destination for customers. Parks has a long tradition of cooperation with local labor unions. All of our construction projects have been performed with union labor, and we have 16 separate collective bargaining agreements with 12 different unions in our operations. We're highly respected within the banking community, and our balance sheet is among the best in the industry. We possess the necessary financial resources to complete this project, including a $150 million debt commitment from Credit Suisse First Boston. Next item on the agenda is a review of the project, and I'll walk you through that. I think it's important that we start with the highlights of our location, which we feel is the best in the state. Our property is approximately 30 miles south of Boston. We have excellent highway access with close proximity to routes I-495, I-95, and Route 24. Our 100-acre site was once the world's top Greyhound track. We have an existing infrastructure that will easily serve the anticipated casino traffic while offering additional development opportunities, including that South Coast Rail line. We have outstanding market demographics. Approximately 1.8 million adults live within 25 miles of Raynham Park. If you look to the map on your right, it shows a heat map with population densities, and you can see it's a straight shot from Boston straight down to Raynham Park where all the people live. That also presents an opportunity to cut off some of that business that's currently flowing into Rhode Island and Connecticut traveling south. So we do believe that this not only is a good location due to its proximity, but we also think strategically it will help preserve revenues within the Commonwealth. We have existing zoning approval, and we have a grandstand facility that's ready to go, and that creates an expedited timeline for our casino opening. As I said, we can be open within 6 months of the Commission's decision. The superior quality of our location as a gaming facility, we believe, is evidenced by the significantly higher wagering levels experienced at Raynham versus Plainridge when both facilities were conducting live racing. For the period 1999 through 2008, Raynham Park averaged 83% more wagering handle than Plainridge. I think that's a powerful statement, and the next chart shows how that happened each year. You can see in the early years it was actually in the 100% range, and then that declined later on as Raynham Park significantly reduced its live racing dates. Nevertheless, it was still significantly higher than Plainridge's wagering handle. I think it would be logical to conclude from this point that Raynham would also be a stronger casino location than Plainridge. And I think it speaks to the proximity to the local market, the superior access and egress that this site enjoys. The next chart speaks to the project highlights itself. We have a construction plan that will proceed in 2 phases. Phase 1 will be to refurbish the existing racetrack grandstand and install 1,250 slot machines. That will be within 6 months of the Gaming Commission decision. Our projections that we've submitted in our application assume a July 1st, 2014 opening, assuming a January decision. In Phase 2, which will be conducted in parallel while we're constructing the temporary facility, we'll construct a 175,000 square foot casino that will of course include the slot machines, but will also offer best-in-class branded bars and restaurants, along with a multi-purpose entertainment venue that will offer exciting live entertainment and also offer the ability to serve banquets and conferences. This is something that hopefully when the South Coast Rail Line comes in would be an added dimension for our property. The expected timeline for completion of this second phase is 18 months. And as I said earlier, this is consistent with our approach at Parks in Pennsylvania, where we initially opened with a 2,000 slot casino within 5 months in our racetrack grandstand and subsequently relocated to a standalone permanent facility where we currently conduct our operations in December of 2009. The next chart reviews our capital budget for the project, and this is more related to the construction efforts and establishing the facility itself. You can see we have construction, professional fees, insurance, and slots and other equipment included in this budget. For the first 6 months, we'll expend $58 million to get that facility up and running. We'll have to spend another $110 million to complete the permanent facility for a grand total of $168 million. And that would be over 18 months. The next chart represents our total capital requirements, which include other items in addition to what we need to construct the facility, such as the license fee, financing fees, pre-opening expenses, working capital, and a loan to Brockton Racing to establish the harness meet. That totals $227.3 million. We will fund that requirement with $45 million of equity from Greenwood Racing, $11 million from the Carney Group, $125 million from Credit Suisse bank debt, and $46.3 million of cash flow generated as we open the temporary facility in July. The next chart summarizes our projected gaming revenue for the facilities and the ultimate taxes that will be generated by these properties. We had an interesting challenge as we approached these projections because it became apparent to us very quickly that the demand far outstripped our ability to serve this market with 1,250 machines. We believe there is significantly more customer demand than $300 million of revenue. However, with 1,250 slots, we were constrained in our ability to offer a good experience to customers. So we actually looked at it from our own internal experience, and we've assumed here that realistically the highest level of revenue we could achieve with only 1,250 slots is $300 million per annum. That translates into a win per unit per day of $658. We expect to achieve that peak level of revenue in the facilities in year 3, which when we open the permanent facility. So you see in the projections in year 3 and 4, we're projecting $300 million of gaming revenue. That declines to $250 million in year 5 and 6 when we assume that there will be competition in the South. We will open in July of 2014, assuming again we were fortunate enough to win and the decisions rendered in January. We would open in July and we would generate in the first 6 months $120 million of gaming revenue, in year 2, $264 million. Full year revenue. On average, we anticipate for this 5.5-year period, the gaming taxes paid would be $131 million. Assuming that we open 1 year before any of the other locations, and given the information in the public domain, that appears to be a reasonable assumption, the Commonwealth would immediately receive between $120 and $130 million of incremental gaming tax revenue from our proposal as compared to the other applicants. This doesn't include additional tax benefits that we believe we would provide the Commonwealth due to our superior location. In addition, we believe the Commonwealth could receive incremental tax revenue by locating a casino at Raynham if a license is ultimately awarded to the Mashpee tribe in Taunton. We agree with Professor Clyde Barrow, a noted gaming expert with the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth, and I quote, "It might actually be in the state's interest to locate a slots parlor close to the casino to capture that revenue at a higher rate of taxation." The next chart speaks to the number of jobs we'll create with the project.
Just ask a quick.
Yes.
I didn't quite get that point. So the point is that you would take gambling away from
We would
the tribal
siphon
casino.
revenue, and this was part of Professor Barrow's interview, that we would siphon revenue from a lower tax property to a much higher tax property. In phase one, we will create 603 jobs, and that will grow to 804 new jobs once the permanent facility is established. We expect the average salary to be in the $42,000 to $43,000 range for these positions. And we also offer outstanding health benefits. In keeping with the theme of having a talented, motivated, happy, and engaged workforce, we make sure that they have a great benefit package. And our benefit package is superior to anyone else in the industry. The next chart summarizes the economic impact that was performed by Marquette Advisors. During the construction phase, they compute that we will generate $313 million of total GDP throughout the state, create 1,400 total jobs, $97 million of worker payroll, and $25 million of tax revenue. The next chart reflects their assessment of our impact on ongoing operations, which suggests $402 million of total annual economic output, 1,778 jobs, $73 million of worker payroll, and $138 million of new tax revenue. Our ability to open 1 year before the other locations would generate approximately $400 million of incremental economic output to the state, along with $138 million of new tax revenue. In addition, we would obviously accelerate the creation of new jobs. I think that's a very powerful point in our application. Another very important element that George alluded to in his presentation is our support for the harness industry. As this process evolved, it became very clear to us that the harness racing industry, that Plain Ridge could close, which would be devastating to the industry. Given that George's and our heritages are rooted in the racing industry, we worked together and developed a plan. We created a new entity, Brockton Racing LLC, which is comprised of the same members as our entity, Raynham Park LLC. We submitted a racing application with the commission to conduct a 40-day meet next year at the Brockton Fairgrounds from August to October of 2014. Of course, this assumes that we will be the license will be awarded to us and that Plain Ridge Racetrack would close. Not something we're looking to see happen, but in the event it did, we would be there to offer the safety net for the harness horsemen. We will provide a $6 million loan. Raynham Park will provide a $6 million loan to Brockton Racing for the capital expenditures required to convert the existing track to a harness track. As George said, back in 1874 and through the 1940s, it was a harness track. And we also provide the working capital necessary to conduct the meet. Our next presenter is a gentleman who performed our gaming market analysis. He is the founder and managing director of the Fine Point Group, Mr. Randy Fine.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. I'm going to summarize very briefly the market study that we performed, and a full copy of which was provided as part of the application. Our group We are a group of casino consultants, been around for 8 years. I actually spent 10 years living in Boston. I got my undergraduate and my MBA degree from Harvard, so it was nice to be back to see another cold, gray, rainy day. It reminded me of those 10 years. Las Vegas weather's a little bit different. But
That's going to hurt you.
So, moving to the scope of work page, just I want to get through this quickly. Keep going. One more. So we were hired, one more. We were hired to do a comprehensive market assessment and to do a number of things. First, to develop the addressable market, the total revenue that this property could conceivably go after. To estimate the penetration of gaming customers within the market. To develop projections over 5 years, tax revenue projections. Also, we were asked to take a look at what percentage of the revenue might be recaptured. Obviously, one would expect some of it to be recaptured given the proximity to Rhode Island and Connecticut. And then we were also asked to take a look at the competitors and based on the publicly available information. Next slide. Next two slides. We used a gravity model to determine what we thought revenue would be. Basically, the closer you live to the property, the more likely you are to visit it. It's not just about where your dot is on the map, but it's about how many people live close to that particular location. And we looked at. To develop the model, we looked at folks who lived in the 10 counties in Region A and Region C. We took a very conservative approach, assuming that Rhode Island was adequately serviced and Western Massachusetts was too far away to attract revenue to this property. We also made some assumptions. We also did 3 cases, a low case, a medium case, and a high case for the addressable market. And then once we developed an addressable market, we discounted that market to say folks in Essex County, even if this is the only casino in the state of Massachusetts, might not be willing to drive as much as they would if the casino was more close by. So we did an addressable market by county and then discounted it based on the distance away from the facility. But basically, what we found we found that it's going to be a very big market, and I think this is something that you all are fully aware of. Once we developed the addressable market, we created 3 separate scenarios. I'm going to get to what the numbers are in a minute. But the 3 scenarios, we did 3 cases. We assumed a large addressable market and no competition for 5 years, for one reason or another. In a medium case, we assumed a medium-sized market, no competition for 3 years. And then in years 4 and 5, one of the Category 1 casinos would open in Springfield area and the Boston area. And then finally, we did a worst case where we assumed, again, a small addressable market, but a casino would open in year 3 in Boston and Springfield, and in year 4, a third casino would open in Taunton. We assumed, in the worst case, it would take a little bit longer for one reason or another. So we modeled competition in more than one way. And what you'll see from a revenue projection perspective, it's our belief, as Tony mentioned, we came to the same conclusion, that a 1,250 machine facility, if the only facility in the state, will be constrained by the fact there are only 1,250 machines. It will do $300 million a year. In fact, even in our medium addressable market case, even if one were to assume a casino is open in Boston and in Springfield, the Springfield area, we still believe that the property will continue to do $300 million a year in revenue. It is only in the circumstance where the market is of a smaller size and we believe Taunton opens that we see the property doing less than $300 million. In that low addressable market case, where there's a casino in Boston and Springfield, we think it will do $229 million. And then in a world where Taunton opens as well, we believe the facility would do $176 million. The next page is our analysis as to recapture. We did work that estimated what percentage of that $176 million to $300 million would be fresh revenue, the equivalent of new gambling because casinos are more convenient, versus what percentage would be recaptured from folks who are riding in those buses and those cars to go to Rhode Island and to go to Connecticut. It is our belief that somewhere between 44 and 60% of the revenue that the facility generates will be revenue that is brought back into the state that is currently going out of the state. And obviously, we believe that's revenue that's currently going to either Rhode Island or Connecticut. The final thing that I would add, and then I'll turn it over to the next presenter, is we believe that the facility, having looked at it from an independent perspective, is extremely well situated to protect Massachusetts revenue from going particularly to Rhode Island. And given the facility, it is very well insulated from the effects of a Boston and a Springfield facility. We found the site has excellent highway access. I mean, it runs a half a mile effectively next to the road, so it's very easy to get in and out of from the road. And it is our view, having visited all three of the sites and walked around them as best as one can do, that it is the best of the three facilities that is available for your consideration. Thank you.
Randy, one point just to clarify. When you spoke earlier about a low addressable market with $177 million of revenue.
Correct.
You weren't stating that's our projected revenue. You just said under those circumstances, that would be a worst-case scenario.
That is our view of a worst-case scenario. The market is of smaller size, and the competitive impact of the three facilities opening is substantial. The $176 million is our view of a worst-case revenue projection for the facility. It's hard for us to imagine the facility doing less revenue than $176 million, even with Taunton, Boston, and Springfield open.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is our Chief Marketing Officer, Mr. Mark Oppenheimer. Mark has extensive background in the gaming industry, starting out with Harrah's and then moving on to Station Casinos, and we were fortunate enough to persuade him to join us last year. So take it away, Mark.
Thank you, Tony. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I'm happy to be here this afternoon. As both Tony mentioned as he was giving you his overview of the project and the fine point assessment mentioned, we do believe that we will be capacity constrained at Parks Raynham. For the first couple of years, we do believe that the demand for the property will be greater than the supply that can be given comfortably in a 1,250 slot machine environment. However, that does not mean that a marketing plan is not important. In fact, we believe that the marketing plan of the property is going to be critical. And it's going to be critical for a couple of fundamental reasons. First, as Tony stated, we believe and we know that we will be able to be open earlier than some of the other applicants. With the property being open earlier, it's critical that we have an effective plan so that we can recapture the gaming revenue that is currently leaving Massachusetts to go to other states. We can do that effectively, we can do that rapidly, and we can deliver on the additional tax benefit that we know is a part of our project. In order to do this, there are two major objectives. First, we have to make people aware of the property, both before it opens, as soon as it opens, and then a second time when the permanent phase is ready to be opened. Secondly, we have to build loyalty among these guests when they come to visit, because we are not arrogant enough to believe that we'll operate in a vacuum and no one else is going to react to what we do. We know that both in-state eventually and out-of-state, more importantly, competition will react to what we do. So we need to have a marketing plan that engenders loyalty with our guests so that they don't get drawn back out of state and the state and the Commonwealth lose the tax revenue that they're going to be getting. How are we going to do this as we move to the next slide? Three main parts to our marketing plan. First, advertising and partnerships. Second, events and promotions. Third, database marketing. I'll take a little bit of time to walk through each of those, starting with advertising and partnerships. Incredibly importantly up front is going to be our pre-opening acquisition of guests. Now, we do have a very strong database that sits less than 300 miles south of here and extends up into the states of Rhode Island, states of Connecticut, and a little bit into Massachusetts, but not very much, so we don't think there will be a lot of cannibalization between the Parks property in Pennsylvania and a Parks Raynham property in Massachusetts. In fact, we think there's the opportunity for the two to complement each other. So we're going to need to get people aware of Parks Raynham before the opening occurs. Three main ways we're going to do that. First, and something that I've done in multiple markets previously, we will develop partnerships with local malls, gathering places, other main attractions, let's say Patriots games, for instance, and we will put people there to actually sign up and start a database Literally within weeks of when we would receive the approval to go forward with the property, we will start the process of making people aware of the property and make sure that when we open, there is a large customer base ready to come to our property that isn't necessarily having to come from all over the country, but is known locals that are already in the area and already taking their gaming revenue outside of the state. We also will back this up with mass advertising, be it social media, web, Facebook, Twitter, those types of things, as well as more conventional mass advertising within Southeast Massachusetts and Boston Metro, as well as down into Rhode Island and Connecticut. Moving on to more traditional advertising once we are open. As I said, the majority of our media plan will be focused in Boston and Southeast Massachusetts. However, we will also focus in Rhode Island and Connecticut. Our plan will begin with a brand campaign. We were fortunate enough within the past few weeks, in fact, at the 2013 American Gaming Association Awards during the Global Gaming Exposition in Las Vegas a few weeks ago to win the award in the industry for the outstanding marketing campaign, our Get Lucky in No Time campaign. We will use that campaign here in Massachusetts as well. We will transition it up to the park's Raynham property, and we will focus on the key attributes: luck, fun, convenience, speed of service, and friendliness. Those are the 5 key attributes our campaign will focus on. Over time, that campaign will transition from the brand of the key things we're going to deliver to you to what's going on at the property and give people information about the reasons why they should come to visit us. Importantly as well, we are aware of social media and the growing importance of social media, so our campaign is fully integrated with all of the different aspects of social media. Advertising and partnerships will also have the partnership side. We have 2 key things that we will do here. First, through Mr. Carney and his connections, we will build and have already started to build very strong connections with local businesses both in Raynham, throughout Southeast Massachusetts, and up into the Boston area. In Pennsylvania now, we have a program that we call Community Partners, where we have signed deals with local businesses and regional businesses where we have inherent cross-marketing between them. We market their businesses, they market our business, we provide benefits to each other. We plan on bringing that program up here to southeastern Massachusetts and have it running by the time the property would be opening. In addition, we'll be a full participant in the community from a sponsorship point of view. Whether it be the easy things, Patriots, Celtics, Bruins, those areas, Red Sox, they're playing this evening, I have to remember to include them. Whether it be those things or some of the things that may not be quite as obvious. The music venues, fairs, places where adults of gaming age are actually going to be congregating, we will work with them to make sure that we're able to support them and they make their guests aware of us. Second phase of the marketing plan, events and promotions. Starts with effective promotions. And there's a key reason why we include the word effective. Massachusetts is going to be a high tax rate environment when you look relative to slot gaming in many of the areas around the country. We have experience both in normal tax rate environments, low, like Atlantic City, like Nevada, and high tax rate environments, like Pennsylvania, where we operate, like Indiana, where I've operated previously. So we know the types of things that work effectively and draw patrons in, but also allow both the Commonwealth and the ownership to be successful in a high tax rate environment. They're going to be things like gift giveaways, drawings, daily promotions. These are typical things, but they have to be adjusted a little bit to work in a high tax rate environment, and we have the experience to know what needs to happen to do that. In addition, we'll be running events. As you'll see as we get into our project, we are going to have a banquet event multi-purpose space in our venue. We will use this for VIP parties. We'll use this for concerts. We may do boxing, we may do mixed martial arts, a whole number of different things that we would be able to put on at the property to make it an entertainment destination for the community, as well as an attraction for our gamblers and guests. Skipping forward to the third element, database marketing. Potentially the most important element as the property matures. We will have attracted people to the property already. People will know about us. We will need the database marketing to keep our guests involved in the property, keep our guests coming to the property as other states start to punch back at us. We're going to do this through three things. Our X-Club loyalty program that already exists at the Parks property in Bensalem, we will bring it up to Massachusetts. We will integrate the two. Our guests will have choice across the multiple markets. As we may bring other markets on board in the future, they'll have choice again across multiple markets, be able to earn and redeem and visit across those markets. And then finally, as well as rewarding players for their play at the property, we will know how to and we'll put in place an effective program to provide incentives so we can get players that may not already be loyal to us coming to the property, rather it be from within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts or outside of Massachusetts and other areas of our database. Those three elements, advertising, events and promotions, and database marketing, will combine to create the effective marketing strategy that will first ensure that we hit our revenue projections, and then in the future protect that revenue as competition and out-of-state competitors start to come back into the fray. Tony?
Thank you very much, Mark. Our next presenter is Eric Ray. He's principal with BLT Architects. He will review our property design and architectural plan. BLT is a firm with extensive experience in the gaming industry, having designed many casinos, particularly in Atlantic City. Eric?
Thank you. Good afternoon. The first slide that you see is a relatively simple slide, and it represents the site plan for what we're calling Phase 1, the temporary casino. But it was, in fact, some of the most important design work that we did, because in making a decision about where the temporary casino would be located, specifically what portions of the existing facility we would use, we also had to consider where the new casino would go. And we knew that those decisions could influence development on this site for decades to come. So you can see that the light blue colored building represents the temporary casino, and then the dashed blue line represents the footprint of what will be the Phase 2 casino. A lot of this is existing, both the building and the parking. In Phase 1, we're showing 1,400 parking spaces, which we will believe will be very sufficient for the requirements of the temporary casino. This is a floor plan of that casino, of the temporary casino, which is a 2-level casino. And a fair amount of thought went into this building. We looked at the structural systems, the electrical, mechanical systems. There are things that we need to do to bring it up to code in terms of life safety, in terms of simple things like adequate toilets. But a lot of the structure was in sound condition and represented a great opportunity to not only open a temporary casino, but to do so with 1,250 slots. So this particular floor plan, the purple represents the gaming area, the light blue represents what we call back of house, which are all the employee facilities, and the orange represent on this level 2 of 4 food and beverage venues that will exist in this temporary casino. On this level, both an entertainment bar as well as a cafe. The next slide is the second or upper floor of the temporary casino. The green exists or represents the existing simulcast facility, which is there today and something that we intend to keep in operation, both during construction and then following the opening of the temporary casino. And the balance of this floor is additional slots in what was an existing restaurant and the provision of 2 additional bars.
One thing I'd like to add to that, we spent a lot of time on this, and we were able to develop this plan without adversely impacting simulcast operations. So as Eric said, we're going to leave this intact, and we're going to fit out the rest of the building that is not really being used at this point.
That's correct.
And we will not have to close down the operation for simulcasting, which is exactly what we did at Parks. We never had to close a day there either. Thanks, Eric.
Sure. This slide represents a rendering of the temporary casino. There was a fair amount of discussion about how much we needed to do. It is an existing building, but we and Parks felt it was important that even in the temporary casino, we set an example in terms of the quality of this facility, the quality of this site, and in a combination of using brand elements typical to the Parks brand, such as the multicolored wall, but also new elements such as light walls and video screens. We think this design provides a lot of high energy and really sets the standard for what will be further development on the site. Phase 2 is the construction of the new casino, which will be quickly followed by the demolition of the Phase 1 temporary casino. As you see in this location, we're showing the overall footprint of the Phase 2 permanent casino, and our parking site then grows to 2,400 spaces. We have a main entrance at the bottom of the screen. Sorry, the laser is not working now. There it is. At the bottom of the screen, we have a main entrance which takes you directly in, and then we've distributed parking around 3 sides of the facility. And this is very important for a regional gaming facility because we know a lot of people will be coming. Their stay will vary, but it may be several hours, and the ability to have people move in and out of the site safely and without a lot of effort, and also to enter the building from multiple sources or multiple locations rather, provides very good guest satisfaction. This is a floor plan of the first level or the upper level of the permanent casino. The purple, as it did in the temporary, represents the gaming facility. Again, 1,250 slots, subdivided into an arrangement that allows a variety of different interior environments, but it also provides for future flexibility. It's a very, this kind of shape, the rectangle or the square, lends itself very well not only to the initial opening, but ongoing operations as slot patterns and gaming preferences change over time. I think it's significant that the gaming, the purple, represents only about half of the floor plan that you see here. And in that way, we believe this is truly a mixed-use facility. To either side, we have the 2 orange elements represent food and beverage venues. One would be a food court. The other would be more of a signature restaurant. These are good-sized facilities. These are about 8,000 square feet each. And then sitting to the center of those is the Special Event Center, which is a 16,000 square foot space. It could function as a more conventional ballroom, meeting space, not unlike what we're sitting in today, or it could be converted for a variety of venues such as concerts, as Tony mentioned, boxing events. There may even be slot tournaments in there. We think that this space is somewhat unique to many of the offerings that you've looked at today. I think it's not only an asset for this facility, but I think it's an asset for the community. And then the next slide contains the new simulcast facility, which will have its own independent entrance and then via escalator and elevator be connected up to the gaming floor. And then the maybe less interesting but nevertheless very important back-of-house areas. And a lot of thought is going into this to make a very effective layout of operations for the casino, and this is all designed for future expansion. And this is a rendering of the permanent casino. Again, the goal was not to create something historic, but to create something that was very contemporary, a lot of high energy, high quality materials. You see large video screens here, but you also see the central glass atrium space that represents the main entry. And then these are elevations. This is the main elevation of the new facility. And again, in addition to the screens and the central glass atrium, we see store windows to the side. The materials that we envision at the entrance to this building would be a combination of stone and metal. So these are high quality materials that we're talking about. And then these represent the side elevations. And again, you can just see that the goal here is to create a statement with the architecture, something that's strong and something that's contemporary. Both restaurants will have natural light, in one case looking out to the natural swamp area immediately to the north of the site. Then I wanted to talk a little bit about the interiors. What you're going to see in the next several slides are photographs of the parks facility. And I can say this with a lot of confidence. We've had the opportunity to work with different gaming operators, and resorts certainly make higher investments than regional facilities. But I have to tell you that the parks interiors, and I would encourage you to visit if you haven't, are resort-level interiors. These are very high-quality finishes, very high-quality design. And I think that these photographs give a good indication of the quality of the interior space, the space most interactive with the guest, what that will be at Parks Raynham. Here you see a variety of different elements of their casino, from the entertainment bar to the player's card area, which is part of their ongoing registration. Entertainment bars, which will sit in the center of the casino. And then signature restaurant. In this particular case, it's a sports bar. I think that they're continuing to evaluate what would be the right operator for this facility. And then finally, one of the really interesting aspects for us about this site is that with 100 acres, there's tremendous opportunity. And while what we've just discussed, the Phase 1 and Phase 2 casinos, represent the extent of this current application, we know that with this site being identified as a stop for the South Coast Rail Line, that there's a number of opportunities to expand development on this site. So in this particular case, the dark purple represents the Phase 2 casino. The light purple represents a very natural expansion to include additional entertainment and other uses, possibly nightclub, possibly additional meeting space, the opportunity for a hotel, and then linking back to the rail station, which is this darker orange rectangle to the rear of the site. And we think that that rail station and the casino could act as anchors, and that a strip of development between the two would be a very natural evolution on the site. This particular plan includes 3,600 parking spaces. So we know that not only in terms of development of buildings, but in terms of the site infrastructure to support it, in particular parking, that this site lends itself well to serious consideration for future development. And on that point, I'd just like to make several points, and that is that the site is already intensely developed. And in terms of redevelopment, in terms of restoration of natural resources, that's an advantage to us. The infrastructure that is on the site today, the water, the power, the sewer, is sufficient to support the temporary casino. That's part of the reason that we can do that fairly quickly. The infrastructure to the site is sufficient to support the Phase 2, the new casino. We will, of course, add new water lines and new power on site to support that. But getting to the site, it exists today. The site has, as Tony has mentioned, has been a site for gaming and entertainment for decades, and it is designed to handle the kind of traffic that we envision for this particular facility. The one improvement will be the road widening and a new traffic signal at the main entrance. As I've mentioned, it is a site that really lends itself well to future expansion. And finally, we know that in that expansion, or even in the early phases of development, we will provide more green space on this site than exists today. And we believe at full development, over 25% improvement in terms of the greening of the facility. And the last point I would like to make is sustainability and LEED. And on this point, I will have to give my client credit. He's right. This is a difficult slide to read. The point we were trying to make here is that sustainability, and in particular meeting the LEED requirements as established by the USGBC, it's more than just providing solar panels on your site. It's a hard process. It's a complex process. Our firm has been involved in a number of LEED Gold facilities. We are, in fact, going to have photovoltaic cells on our site. We believe that as much as 15% of the power for this facility can come from solar. But that's not enough to get you there. And there's a whole series of other aspects of the site, from energy to materials to site sustainability, that are necessary, and we believe across all those categories we will achieve points. In fact, we feel confident sitting here today that we can achieve the 50+ points required for LEED Silver certification. However, we think there's some unique opportunities here. Possibly the provision of a second bus line, use of potable water in terms of irrigation, that we could pretty quickly get up to the LEED Gold. So we're here today to commit to LEED Silver, but a strong desire to strive for LEED NC Gold.
Thank you very much, Eric. Our next presenter, who will review the project construction program, is Tom Erickson. He's the Executive Vice President with the Tishman Corporation. He's based here in the Boston area.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Tony. George, members of the commission, thank you. So as Tony said, we're on the team, and we have studied both the schedule for the permanent casino as well as the temporary casino provisions. And we looked hard at the temporary facilities, looked at existing conditions, worked with Eric's group as far as design requirements and bringing the building up to code. And with great confidence, we've developed a critical path schedule that shows a 6-month completion. So 6 months from award, this facility will open. And in studying the schedule, we benefited greatly from our existing local resources. We've been in business here for 30 years. We're a national builder. So our existing resources, our superintendents and project managers are very well versed in the building code, mass building code, very well versed and experienced in renovations. We have extremely strong labor relations with organized labor. And lastly, and very important, we're casino builders. Both in Atlantic City and in Las Vegas, Nevada, we've completed significant projects, and we're the executive construction manager on City Center in Las Vegas and multiple projects in Atlantic City. So we can bring to bear everything that's necessary to ensure the delivery of this facility, and again, with great confidence, a 6-month schedule for the temporary casino.
Do you want to review the permanent timeline too, Tom?
Absolutely. So the permanent timeline, as we studied and visited with Tony's casino in Ben Salem, and we looked very closely at the finishes that Eric spoke to, and the finishes are significant. And so as we developed that schedule, we factored the finishes in, and an 18-month schedule is the critical path schedule that we developed, and with great confidence, we see that as the timeline. Again, these finishes are substantial. It's a terrific looking facility. And so I would say 16 months maybe for a typical casino of this size, but given the high level of finish, 18 months is the schedule for this one.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Great, thank you.
Our next presenter is John Dixon. He's our Chief Technology Officer. With the evolution of the gaming industry from standalone slot machines to now networked systems that require extensive security and backups and protections, technology is a critical component of our business. We're very proud to have one of the best technical teams in the world, led by John, who's been with us since 1990. John?
Thank you, Tony. Good afternoon. I lead the Parks Technology Group, as Tony said, and over the years we've assembled a dedicated group of technology specialists with a wide range of skills, and that allows us to be very fast and flexible in developing systems for our operations. I just wanted to run through a few of the types of people that we employ in the team. We have a number of web developers who create all of our websites, social media, such as Facebook and Twitter, and all of our web-based kiosks and services. We have multimedia graphics artists. We produce all of our audio and video content for our operations, and that means for our websites, for radio, television, and digital signage inside and outside the property, like the big LED screens that you saw earlier on the design for the Raynham Casino. We have a number of application developers. These are skilled programmers in a wide variety of languages that develop tools that our managers use and tools that our staff use in order to manage the business, give good service to our customers, and also sophisticated business intelligence tools that we use to continually monitor and improve the business. System administrators, they monitor and ensure that all of our systems are working at peak performance 24/7. Obviously, it's very important in a 24/7 business that we don't have any downtime. They also perform first and second level maintenance and liaise with our outside vendors as needed to make sure everything is working. Gaming systems managers, very key, dedicated people with extensive Bally Gaming Systems, who is our system operator of choice. Strong liaison with the marketing department so that we can implement marketing plans in the Bally system so that Mark's marketing plans can be as effective as possible. Help desk. We have a 24/7 help desk that really is aimed at helping all of the other departments within the casino. So whatever technical problems they have one phone number to call. We take that call and then we'll assign the right people to actually fix whatever the problem is. And then IT techs, who are basically the guys who get down and dirty on the floor and actually have the tools and fix things as needed. A big point, I think, that you've probably picked up already from our presentation is our customer service focus. It's a key metric for our business, and we like to think that we do it better than anybody else. And a lot of that comes from technology that we develop, which is totally aimed at helping provide that excellent customer service that we constantly strive for. To give you some examples of some of those things that we've done. Drink service from slot machines. Our customers, whilst they're sitting playing at a slot machine, can order a drink using the small LCD display on the slot machine called an iView, and that drink will then be delivered to them by our world famous parquettes, who are a big part of our brand. Automated slot dispatch. This one really is designed to help efficiency when guests win a jackpot or there's a problem with a game and they need someone to come and help them. We have an automated system that tracks all those sort of events that happen on slot machines in real time, and it sends the message to a handheld device that the player service reps carry, and this helps to get the right person to the right customer as quickly as possible. And some of our things like jackpot processing times, we have some of the shortest times in the industry when we look at that at other casinos. Self-service kiosks, another important part of our technology. Players can go up to our self-service kiosks, they can get all the information they need about their comp balances, how many sweepstakes entries they have. They can print match play coupons if they're a table game player. I know that probably doesn't apply here, but it's one of the things we can do. They can order their car from valet parking so that by the time they walk to the valet pickup, their car will be there waiting for them. All things that help customer service. My Account is a dedicated section of our website where customers can see all of their account information all in one place. They log on using their account number and PIN.
Excuse me, I just want to give you a heads up, but 30 minutes.
I've been watching too.
Okay.
And everything that they need is all there, all in one place. Award-winning digital signage. We won an award last year at the Digital Signage Expo in Las Vegas for the best signage in an entertainment venue. And you've seen in the design that we're including a lot of large LED screens on the outside of the building, as well as a number of screens inside the building as well. And I'll move on to the next slide, please, Mark. Just some examples of the innovative technology that we've designed, developed, and installed within our operations. We were the first US casino to have a high-speed slot floor, so all of our floor is high-speed Ethernet, and that allows us to do things like video streaming onto the slot machine, so you can sit and watch some video on the slot machine. It also makes us 100% ready for server-based gaming, which is going to be one of the next big things that happens in gaming over the next 3 or 4 years. We're the first casino in the US with a fully digital surveillance system, and that's important because it gives us the best quality video so that we can see exactly what's going on the casino floor and ensure that we are offering a fair and good experience to everybody, and no one is finding a way to cheat us. We were the first casino to use flywheels for backup power. That's important as well. Most operations have UPSs with big banks of batteries. Batteries are something you have to replace very frequently. They're also horrible to recycle because they're full of lead, and that's a huge problem these days. We use flywheels, which is a new technology that takes the place of batteries, virtually maintenance-free, and you don't have all the problems of recycling all those batteries. So very clean and green energy. Data centers, we believe in redundancy. We have 2 fully redundant data centers at parks in Pennsylvania, and we intend to leverage that same technology to provide backup services to our operation here in Raynham if we're fortunate enough to win. distributed antenna systems, very important particularly for the state and local police. It's an antenna system throughout the building that guarantees that the police can communicate wherever they are inside our building. Very important. As a secondary use, it also provides coverage for Wi-Fi and cell phones, both for the company and for our customers. The state exclusion database system, we developed a database system to deal with excluded players. The system that was in place up to now was a kind of paper-based system, not totally reliable. So we've developed a database system which the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board are actually looking at and considering mandating for all casinos in Pennsylvania. Teradata Warehouse. We have a sophisticated database system that we use for our marketing efforts that Mark alluded to earlier, and it's also used by our finance folks to track all of the business that's going on within our property. And then SolarWinds is a network monitoring system we use where we can actually keep track of every single device that's connected to our network in the casino, and we can often pick up problems before they become serious problems. So that's just some examples of our technology. Thank you.
Thank you, John. As you can see, we are in the technology business, too. Our next presenter is Mr. Ron Davis, who is our Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer and Director of Community Development. Ron's been with us for 7 years since we opened as a casino in 2006, and he has a lot to do with why we have such an outstanding reputation within the community and for our development efforts. Ron?
Thank you, Tony. Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, it is a great opportunity for me to talk about some of the work that Parks has done in the past. For what you do in the past paints a great picture for the future. First of all, if there's anything you remember about these few moments I spend with you, it's sharing our success with the community. That is our attitude, that is our focus, to share our success with the community. And we do it many ways. We believe that Parks is an engine of economic development. So we look at opportunities to partner, we look at opportunities to grow, not only our business, but other businesses in the community. We do it through diversity and inclusion, through the workforce, workplace, marketplace, community, and giving. And I'll go over those quickly for you. Workforce. Our workforce, we have 2,396 total employees as of June of 2012. 1,908 live in Pennsylvania. I was fortunate to be one of the first, if not the first, hired by Parks Casino, so I'm very proud of that fact. And we're very proud of bringing others along who can take advantage of being around the best of the best. That's what we're looking for. If you look at underrepresented groups, in our talent pool, we have 12% African American, Hispanic 6%, 17% Asian, and 38% women. And that compares favorably and in some ways overrepresented when we look at Bucks County census information on the next page. Our workforce, 17,000 online applications. We are very aggressive. We go out and do job fairs, not only in the traditional areas. We go to churches, we go to wherever people are who need jobs, because that's what it's all about. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Whatever we say with screens and we say with charts, it's about jobs. It's creating a sense of people having to feed their families every day. And that's what we're mindful when we do this. We have 11 job fairs since 2011, and 65% of employees live within a 15-mile radius. 25% of our employees live in a 5-mile radius. And we grow talent locally. Workplace. We created 125 full-time permanent executive managerial professional jobs. 70% of all advancement opportunities filled internally, approximately 35 individuals in 3 years. The development of new casino professions. Many of or most of our staff had not worked in a casino before when we started growing our business. And again, local. And I know others have mentioned it, but we really do local because we feel that we have an LBE, local business responsibility, to grow business as an engine to develop not only the community, but develop jobs and develop relationships.
As a point of clarification, when Ron said 125 jobs, that meant distinct job classes. not the number of people hired.
Yes. Thank you, Tony. Construction. This is also exciting for us. Total spent on construction for June 30th, 2009 was $194 million. Of that total, LBE, or local business, was at 12.3%, which is $40 million. Total MBE, WBE was at 20.6%, which is from 2009 to 2012, $40 million. And 50 contractors, and we had pre-bid meetings, outreach meetings for MBE, WBE, and LBE vendors. Vendor purchasing, and again, another exciting number, because out of the expenditures of from 2006 to 2013, $1 billion, $500 million or $514 million is spent by LBE businesses. We've had 720 outreach meetings, meaning, again, we go out and talk with vendors. We talk with, we have how to do business with parks sessions, which certainly is part of our ongoing effort to reach our community. Speaking of community, parks giving is second to none. We are generous contributions to 740 local, state, national, and international organizations. Some of that giving is listed on the next slide. Scholarships and giving. We're giving to churches and synagogues, places of food, in-kind gifts. Sometimes there are parts of the community that can't take and won't take from a casino, and that's understood. But we can give them other in-kind gifts to mitigate some of the problems in the community. Senior health fairs, support through responsible gaming, and that is part of our mission and part of our ongoing focus. We also do community fairs and festivals, and we're part of Habitat for Humanity. Our employees work to build houses with Habitat Humanity. There's a new project we call a Brush with Kindness, where they go and paint houses for seniors out in the community. So it's very, very important to us. And we do all that by doing three things. We listen, learn, and we lead. And we feel that when we listen, learn, and lead, we can help the community. We've been recognized by the U.S. Department of State for our diversity and inclusion efforts. We've been recognized by the Women's Business Enterprise Council, an award of excellence, Bucks County NAACP, and by the way, we are corporate members of the NAACP. We are very aggressive in being part of all of the boards in the area, all the councils and boards, the chambers of commerce. We received the Ben Salem Jewish Community Outreach Award, Bucks County YWCA Award, and Ben Salem Business Generation Award. And we have this history of continued philanthropy. And what our focus is to develop a legacy that goes beyond us, that continues to help the community grow, that continues to work and partner with the community. We get, I get hundreds of letters of thank you every day from the things that we do, because we give a lot of money, support, and manpower to the community. But this, to me, is an outstanding representation of what Parks Giving is all about. This is a letter from a student. He says, "Dear Mr. Ron Davis and Parks Casino, I'd like to say thank you on behalf of myself, Behaven Battelle, and my family for awarding me the Parks Scholarship 2013 scholarship. This means a lot to us because it helps me further my education. With this that you have given me, I hope to make you, along with my family, proud. You have shown me that hard work truly does pay off. As of now, I am hoping to go into medical field to become a physician. By awarding me this scholarship, I am one step closer to my goal. I hope that one day, when I become successful, give a student in need a scholarship the way you have done for me. I truly appreciate the honor and will never forget this. Thank you very much." That sums up our giving. All the great things we do at giving, this letter cuts through all of that. I thank you.
Thank you, Ron, and you can see that our efforts, led by Ron, will complement what George's group does in his community very well. Our next presenter is Mr. Tom Bonner. He's our Vice President and Legal Counsel. He'll review the status of our host and surrounding community agreements and also give you an overview of our compliance initiatives.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. It's good to be before you again. Before I talk about the host community agreements, I just wanted to mention one thing. Mark Oppenheimer had mentioned the significance of partnership as one of our key marketing strategies. Tony had talked about the importance of partnership generally and partnering with our local representative, Mr. Carney. And we've also begun that partnership already. We executed in August an agreement with the Massachusetts Casino Careers Training Institute in order to develop a program for training if we are awarded the license. So we already have a very important training platform in place with a local recognized educational institution to move forward. The host community agreement was executed with Raynham on June 11th and was approved by the community shortly thereafter. The agreement requires Raynham Park to bear expenses incurred by the township in connection with reviewing the application, processing permits, basically getting us up to speed. So whatever is incurred by the township will be reimbursed by the applicant moving forward. More significantly, the agreement requires some substantial cash payments to the town. We've committed a $1 million annual mitigation payment, which will increase beginning in the 5th year by 2.5% through the 20th year. So by the 20th year, that dedicated cash payment will be about $1.5 million. We've also agreed to make a capital cost payment each year to be used by the town to fund its capital expenses, and that's in the amount of $100,000. We've agreed to fund dedicated improvements for the Route 138 business corridor facade improvements. Also significantly, we've agreed to mitigate certain transportation impacts that will be created as a result of the casino operation. Those transportation improvements have been specifically identified in a study that we have worked on and submitted to the town, and the estimate is about $1.5 million for work to be done within the town itself and about $250,000 for work to be done outside the town of Raynham. We've also committed to do things such as offering hiring preference to residents of the town for both construction and operational jobs. We've agreed to support local businesses, as Mark Oppenheimer had mentioned, through these local partnerships, and we intend to do that in conjunction with the rewards and player loyalty programs that we will operate for our customers. So the local business community will benefit from those customer loyalty programs that we'll be setting up. As Ron just indicated, we have a history of philanthropy, and we intend to continue that by dedicating to nonprofits and charities that benefit Raynham citizens in particular, as well as residents of the general Southeast Massachusetts region. Turning to the surrounding community agreement, we understand full well the importance of the surrounding communities process, and we're fully committed to it. And now that we've gotten that October 4 application behind us, we're able to dedicate more time to the process, but we haven't been asleep at the switch on this. We've already designated the towns of Taunton and Easton as surrounding communities. We've had extensive negotiations and discussions with those towns. We're close to an agreement with one. We've made good progress with another, and we think that with respect to those two towns, we're where we need to be to get something done. We're targeting the October 31 completion date that the board has mandated for those towns. We've also met with representatives of 9 of the 10 local communities that we feel it was appropriate to contact. One community just did not request a meeting. It would have been 10 for 10. We've not declined surrounding community status to either of those communities, and we do intend, as I said, to rededicate our efforts to that process in the coming weeks. We have formally designated Taunton and Easton as surrounding communities. We submitted the required letter to them on October 2nd. We're still within that 10-day period for them to respond to us that they accept that designation. And I think importantly, mayors of surrounding towns in Taunton and also in Brockton, where we propose the harness racing operation, have issued letters that support our application. Turning next to the lottery agreement, we're pleased to report that we did execute an agreement with the Lottery Commission on October 2nd. I think it's important to bear in mind that what this agreement does is provide for a continuation of the existing partnership that the Raynham Park facility has had with the Lottery Commission for many, many years. Raynham Park currently offers all lottery products at the racing facility. And we have agreed in the lottery agreement with the Commission that we will provide no fewer than 10 self-service player-activated terminals in the temporary casino, and we've agreed to locations where they will be. They'll be at high-traffic areas. They'll be next to the pari-mutuel wagering windows. They'll be adjacent to cashier cages. They'll be at entry areas to bars and simulcast locations. We've also agreed we have also agreed that in the permanent casino, we will increase the number of lottery outlets and terminals above that 10 number to a number that we agree upon with the Lottery Commission. We've also specifically agreed that we will provide sale and cashing of lottery online and lottery game tickets at the property at the cashier windows. We'll provide sale of lottery online tickets and game tickets at retail stores that are going to be located within the property. We're going to offer Keno in bar and lounge areas and in any entertainment facilities that may be part of the project. We're also going to provide a lottery cashing facility for prizes of $600 or more. And as Eric Ray had mentioned, although we're committing to phases 1 and 2, there is a phase 3 market-dependent project that would include a hotel. And if that were to come to pass, we have also agreed with the Lottery Commission that we would provide lottery products, including Keno, in the hotel at locations that we would agree upon with the Lottery Commission. Final topic I'll address is regulatory compliance. You will recall that we addressed this with you at the suitability hearing. We returned to it today because of the significance of this issue to a successful casino operation. Parks Casino in Pennsylvania has developed a commendable record of regulatory compliance in Pennsylvania, and we will bring to Massachusetts the organizational and governance structure, policies, and procedures that have enabled us to achieve that record in Pennsylvania. Several key components of this performance record I'll discuss. The Compliance Committee of the Board of Directors, that is a 3-member committee comprised of members of the parent company Board of Directors. These are non-executive directors, outside directors at the parent level. This board meets monthly with key staff at Parks Casino: General Counsel, Compliance Officer, Director of Internal Audit, and Director of Surveillance. We all meet with the Compliance Committee monthly. The Compliance Committee actually reviews internal audit reports that are prepared by our on-site Parks Casino Director of Internal Audit, and we discuss regulatory and compliance exceptions that may be noted in those reports, and we receive instruction and direction from the committee members. As I mentioned to you when we met at the suitability hearing, minutes of these monthly meetings are recorded and they are filed with the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board on a monthly current basis. We also have a compulsive and problem gambling plan that governs operations at our Pennsylvania casino. This is a plan that is approved by the Gaming Control Board, and it is reviewed annually by our internal compliance officer, and it's modified as required or as we recommend. This plan directs specific procedures for the frontline staff with respect to issues that deal with problem gambling, alcoholic beverage consumption, underage gaming prevention, self-exclusion from gaming, and state exclusion from gaming. The plan mandates initial training for every employee in frontline positions and refresher annual training for folks in frontline customer contact positions. We also have mandatory training in other areas. A casino's operations touch many regulated areas that go beyond gaming, and this requires specialized training of certain staff persons. We have regulations under the Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA. That law requires every employee to be trained, even folks who, like me, work in the office. There's certain training we have to undergo under OSHA, and then there's specialized training for staff who work in carpentry, electricians, other folks in some of the trades. We have Title 31 training that's mandated under the Federal Bank Secrecy Act that deal with casino currency transactions that occur on a daily basis on the floor, and also deal with transactions that are deemed suspicious under the Bank Secrecy Act regulations. We have compulsive and problem gambling training under the plan that I had mentioned that is approved by the Gaming Control Board and reviewed annually. We have TIPS, which is alcoholic beverage server training for not only folks who serve beverages like bartenders and cocktail servers, but for other employees in front of house positions who have customer contact. This includes security officers, surveillance operations who are monitoring activities on the floor, valet parking attendants who are giving car keys to people to drive away, player service representatives who work in the slot areas on the floor, and even our cleaning staff are trained in TIPS to recognize evidence of folks who maybe have had too much to drink. No employee who directly serves alcoholic beverages is permitted to work a minute on the floor until he or she has received TIPS training, and TIPS requires an annual, a 3-year certification, and nobody can continue working beyond the 3 years unless that training has been completed. And finally, we have specialized dram shop training that goes beyond the TIPS training. We bring our outside counsel in with our risk manager, and once a year we train the direct beverage service staff on more advanced procedures and issues concerning dram shop and alcoholic beverage law requirements. And finally, you will see this as part of our application, but we operate in Pennsylvania, as do most casinos, under a very extensive system of internal controls. They govern all areas of operation. They are submitted to the Gaming Control Board for approval, and they become our contract with the Gaming Commission. That is the basis on which we conduct our business. We agree to follow those procedures as we operate our casinos. We've found that a detailed, written set of procedures that affect and direct the daily operating activities have proven to be an effective guide for all of our staff in the various operating and support departments. And I'll turn it back over to Mr. Rickey at this time, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Tom. It looks like we beat the buzzer, and I think our team did an outstanding job of providing clear and convincing evidence to support my opening remarks. So I'd like to reiterate them one more time. We have the best location. We have a powerful benefit to the state by opening first to market, which, as I said earlier, if we open a year before the other casinos, that generates $400 million of additional economic output for the state versus the other applicants, and $138 million of tax revenue, which is very powerful. In addition, because we are certain we have the best location, there are ongoing benefits for tax revenue beyond compared to the other locations. We have a great team with George's team and our team collaborating together to fully develop the market and work with the communities. And I think the safety net we've thrown to the harness racing with our plan to race at Brockton Fairgrounds offers them a soft landing and not a disastrous outcome if Plain Ridge were not to receive the award. And again, as Eric Ray mentioned before, when you look at that site, there's plenty of development opportunity beyond these first 2 phases. The other applicants really don't have that potential, and we have the South Coast Rail Line Station designated to stop there, which gives us tremendous opportunity to develop that location. So I thank you, but in keeping with our 50-50 partnership, my partner George will close out the session. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody on the commission. It really makes me very proud to be here at 85, to be one of the final applicants, and be honest with you. And I want to just say this, that I'm leaving here today. I feel even prouder that I made the right decision. I had a lot of interviews with different competitors, and I know one thing, I made the right choice, and hopefully the commission will make the same choice that I feel should be made. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Questions? Thank you all, folks. That terminates our 3 presentations. I think everybody will agree, and I'm sure I can speak for the commission, that we are going to have a very tough choice. We've got 3 really credible, professional, integrious folks, which we're very pleased with, and we will do our best and make our best judgment by the end of December or the first week or so of January. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do I I have a motion? So moved?
Yes, so moved.
All in favor? Aye.